Hello, puppies and kittens. Welcome to another episode of Reading Joseph's Myth. And usual assemblage, a little bit hectic, a little 5 minutes late. I thought I was going to have to run and do a rescue mission, but it turns out no, we're good to go. So, anybody have any opening comments before we get started?
Yeah, rock on. Moroni weekend, equinox.
And it's also
200 years.
Equinox.
We are now 200 years from when Moroni appeared to a young boy, Joseph Smith, and saved the world from certain immolation.
and it's also Yom Kippur today. So
Well, that's I mean, come on, that's not important. We're talking
Yeah,
about
not
real
important.
holidays here. That
Yeah, yeah.
holy day that the word, etymology of the word is.
yeah.
And judging by your hat, Bryce, I'm guessing that this was when you and Skipper started out on the 3-hour tour.
This is the best I could find in modern day fashion sense of a white stovepipe hat. And I got my
Okay.
seer stone and I got my magic toad, courtesy of Gazalem right there. Yeah, no, I'm
I got to
set. I'm
apologize.
celebrating.
I got to apologize. I can't find my magic toad. I thought I left it up there, but oh well, it's not there.
I hope your dog
Okay.
didn't get a hold of it.
Yeah, fucking dog. I hope my dog didn't get a hold of the cane toad, although that would be terribly funny. He'd be acting
No.
very different. So, Ember asked about my colorful finger decoration. Some of you may know that I was at a herp convention wherein I bought an ornate Nile monitor, which is it's a venomous lizard that has eaten people. There's like this one story of this guy had 6 of them in his house, and they're all pets until they ate him.
Whoops.
And I've seen a bunch of other videos of people with highly trained people that have these lizards, and yet still on occasion the lizard will just lash out and bite, and their hemotoxin it just causes you to bleed savagely, and the teeth are like glass shards. So
And people still think that it's a good idea to have them as pets.
yes, well, I was very excited
So
about it. It
fun.
was adorable. I was very keen to have this, and
Adorable.
my wife, it did indeed, it was, but my wife was not having it. She's like, you are not, because she's heard too many stories. Because it's a funny thing when you hear a few stories about how these Nile monitors have attacked and eaten or lacerated or maimed their owners. It only takes, a few dozen such unprovoked attacks like this to give a bad name to all of those other lizards who didn't eat their owners that year.
Says the man with the bandaged hand.
Yeah, right. I'm like, all right, when's the shoe gonna drop here? We're all waiting. Pins and needles.
Every kid who
So-
didn't die had a great vacation.
Yes, exactly. So my wife, we had a bit of a discussion about that, and she did not want me to bring in this lizard because we have dogs and we have cats, and these lizards are excessively good at maiming things.
Ooh.
So okay, I gave up the lizard. But the thing is,
That's what
this
she
is
said.
completely unrelated to that. It's just Ember was implying something else. So what happened was we get home and one of my wife's boas has figured out how to push the body against the side, push the body against the glass and move the sliding glass door open. So we get in there and we see that it's actually opened the door, and found it quickly enough. It was in the top of the curtains, but the curtains are behind this piece of furniture that I can't move, too tall for my wife. So my wife told me, to get the boa. Okay, fine. So I got to stretch up, and I'm leaning up, trying to get this thing out of the top of the curtains. And she's telling me, don't let it get away. Don't. It's not going to get away. It's not going to away. I'm just perfectly fine. Everything's fine. And then I'm leaning a little bit of my body weight because I have to lean over this piece of furniture to reach to the top of the window. I'm leaning just a little bit of my body weight on the glass itself.
Oh no.
Just a little bit. More than I thought, maybe.
Ooh.
So when the window exploded, and I fell through it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize this at first, but I rather significantly damaged. I got a bruised rib here, and somehow or other, the sudden shift in body weight snapped my toe.
Oh
So-
no.
So my toe is broken, and I have a damaged rib, and I can't show. I have to have long sleeves on, even though it's a really fucking hot day, because I've got a 4-inch gash here with 13 stitches in it, and
Oh my god.
and they used crazy glue on this finger to put that one back on, but this one required a whole bunch of stitches. And the funny thing is, I'm just going to call this Frankenfinger, because it has three scars from the times I have cut off this finger before.
Oh.
Once when I dropped a very sharp knife through it, a very large and sharp knife I dropped through my finger. And then another time when a garage door opener I thought had sprung on the spring, but it hadn't. And so when I'm trying to take it out, the spring then sprung, and it broke 11 bones, including having my finger dangling like this from a tiny
Ooh.
little sneak.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So I'm in the emergency room with my dick-headed son, who says that, Dad, you didn't really cut your finger off because it's still attached. I'm like, yeah, but it shouldn't do this.
It's called a circumcision of the pinky.
It's a flesh wound.
So when they put the finger
just a
back
flesh
on,
wound.
when they put the finger back on for the second time, it was kind of sideways. So if you ever meet, I can show you my finger. One of these fingers is on sideways. When they were doing the surgery to put it back on, the doctor said, "There, did you cut this finger off before in precisely the same place?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." As a matter of fact, my exact sentence was, "Now that you mention it, I do remember lopping off that particular digit." And he said, "You want me to reconnect the nerves while I'm here?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, that would be cool, because the nerve being as damaged as it was there was a special place if you push it on the finger, which will be this electric volt." And so I said, "Yeah, you're under the hood. Go ahead, reconnect the nerve." Well, the nerve is unconnected again, because this is the third time that I've chopped right through like most of that finger. And anyway, I've been almost all night in the emergency room getting sewn up in different places.
Holy crap.
And I didn't get my lizard.
In
You
short,
know what was
in
going to
short,
show
you
you
would
up,
have been
Oren?
That's a rough weekend.
you would have been better off getting the lizard. That would have been less painful.
You know what will show you?
No, because I have to concede. I've had a few of these lizards before. I would look like this anyway.
That's fair.
Because this finger, this one's been chopped off 3 times. This one has been bitten off, or bitten twice. Once a dog bit the tip of this finger off, and when I was in the emergency room, they made me hold the tip of the finger in place so that they could sew it. So I'm having to hold my finger, which I brought in a bag. I held my finger so they could sew it back on. And the other time was a Malaysian water monitor. That's not a Nile monitor. This is a bigger one.
Oh, good.
So in Malaysia, these are 7 to 9 feet, 70 to 140 pounds. They do eat people. They hunt people in the wild. So this was a badass lizard. But the thing is, when it jumped at me and bit, I yanked my hand back, and only 2 of the teeth scraped my hand. It didn't get a snap. It technically missed. And I'm glad that it did, because it's my middle finger. And if it had gotten that finger, I know how these things are, I wouldn't be able to express my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an important finger. I use it for so much.
Which one did you have that you said the cops had to shoot?
That was
They
the
did.
one, the one that bit, the one that almost took off my middle finger, almost made me into a Simpsons character. Yeah, that was the one the police shot.
You know
The
what will
cops
chill
put him
you.
down.
You know what will chill you up, Aaron? Reading the Book of Mormon.
I mean, look at
Your
Mormons.
bedside
It
manner.
clearly makes
Or-
them happy.
or even better, the super chats.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Your
yeah,
bedside
that's
manner,
good.
Homer, is
Yeah.
attractive.
Whoa.
Okay, so God's Servant offers $2 and says, "I enjoy your medieval accents, friends." I enjoy your medieval accents, friends. Acts 238. Somebody else looked that up. And then Red Fox offers $5 and says, Hey, from the line live chat. I heard we were dunking on Joseph Smith's Bible fanfic. Indeed, we are.
At some point.
So,
Yes,
anybody
yes.
want to, Bryce? You want to give us a prologue to what we're about to read today?
I don't even remember what had happened just a second ago. I mean, let's see. We just got the Standard of Liberty, King Helaman, or the Helaman is like super Helaman. We got introduced to him. He's super awesome, and we're gonna get introduced to his stripping warriors here pretty soon as well.
We
what
have
is happening?
Stripping
Amalek-
warriors. Is
Amaleki.
stripping warriors?
Yeah,
it's
stripping
complex.
warriors.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
something like
It's
that.
complex.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we met Amaleki and the
Amaleki.
Amalekia.
Amalekiah.
Amalekia.
Amalekiah.
Amalekiitis.
Yeah.
I mean,
So thank you,
there's not a whole lot
Gazalem,
going on.
thank you, Gazalem, for sharing that link. There's a link in the description if anybody wants to look at it of a family Book of Mormon study where they go through this book like it's real, like the stuff really happened.
Well, that's
And they're going to-
exactly what it was like to have family scripture study. If you want to know what it's like to be in a Mormon family doing that it's called, this was a whole thing promoted by Russell M. Nelson called the Come Follow Me, where he's encouraging people to put out social media testimonials of their scripture studies. So yeah, check it out.
And I don't know,
Okay.
Arn, if you heard of this. I just watched this. Apparently, this just got started in I think in March. The trial of Doomsday Mom, which is also a Mormon woman who killed her entire family because they were part of the 144,000 of 100. I don't know the people who stay here.
Oh,
They were going to be the leader of the people after the rapture. Horrific story, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
But I know
Okay.
what'll make you feel better, Aaron.
More super
Lots of
chats.
bears.
More super chats.
And the Book of Mormon.
All right, Mr.
Have
Tom
a-
O'Shanter offers $10 and says, "Big love to Aaron and the crew. I stumbled upon Aaron's channel a few months back, and it helped me to be an outspoken rather than closeted atheist and anti-theist. Thank you very much for sharing that."
Nice.
And then Sapient Haggis, which is a wonderful name, offers £5 and says, "How lucky Aaron isn't a starfish. We would have 3 of him at least."
Might make on the YouTube channel a little easier.
This is all detachable paint.
I get the feeling I would get more done.
Yeah.
Speaking of closeted atheists, do you think Jimmy's going to come out anytime soon?
No, Jimmy is working on a project. He sent me an email that he's working on a project. Right
He's
now.
I'm
here.
here today. That's November 5th, bud.
He's here.
Oh, there he is.
Woot, he's here.
Eh.
Okay.
I'm just getting my stuff set up downstairs.
The
All right. So that was a different day. All right, gotcha.
the project is
Well, glad
apparently
to
his
have
camera.
you, Jimmy. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just like covered in band-aids and stitches and stuff, and that's a bucket of chuckles. Can't tell you how amusing that was. And walking into the hospital, dripping blood all over everything, and the only thing that hurts is my toe. Go figure. The only thing that didn't have blood all over it.
Oh my gosh. A broken toe hurts so bad though, so I get it.
I have to
Oh,
ask, Arn, while you were in the hospital, did you hand out business cards to get people to go watch your channel?
No, but I tell you what I did do while I was standing here. While I'm there talking, my wife was there with me, and she's got a big old pentacle. She's wearing a very demonic dress, and I had a T-shirt on with a Baphomet, and one of the nurses told me that she was having the Baphomet tattooed on her thigh because she too had joined the Satanic Temple for the same reason at the same time that I did. So we did a
Cool.
fist bump at each other, so that was cool.
Yeah,
Sweet.
hell Satan.
Yeah.
Ave
All right,
Satana.
Me-
so
Yeah.
Don't even need to say it.
Okay. Alma 48. And now it
Book
came
of
to
Mormon.
pass that that as soon as Amalickiah had obtained the kingdom, he began to inspire the hearts of the Lamanites against the people of Nephi. Yeah, he did appoint
Yay.
men to speak unto the Lamanites from their towers against the Nephites. And thus he did inspire their hearts against the Nephites, insomuch that in the latter end of the 19th year of the reign of the judges, he having
19.
accomplished these designs thus far, yeah, having been
Yay.
made king over the
Yahoo.
Lamanites, he sought also to reign over all the land. Yeah, and all the
Yay.
people who were in
Yaha.
the land, the Nephites as well as the Lamanites. Therefore, he had accomplished this design, for he had hardened the hearts of the Lamanites and blinded their minds and stirred them up to anger, insomuch that he had gathered together a numerous host to go to battle against the Nephites. For he was determined, because of the greatness of the number of his people, to overpower the Nephites and to bring them into bondage.
As
They
long
got-
as they didn't bring those damn shields and armor again. Yeah, we just cannot deal with this.
And thus he did appoint chief captains of the Zoramites. They bring them.
Haven't heard anything about the Zoramites in forever, and then they're just like plop. Oh yeah,
Chief
remember those guys?
captain.
Call back to 15 chapters ago? Sure, why not?
They being the most acquainted with the strength of the Nephites and their places of resort and the weakest parts of their cities. Therefore, he appointed them to be chief captains over his armies. And it came to pass that they took their camp and moved forth toward the land of Sarahemla in the wilderness. Now it came to pass that while Amalickiah had thus been obtaining power by fraud and deceit, Moroni, on the other hand, had been preparing the minds of the people to be faithful unto the Lord their God. Yeah, he had been
Yay.
strengthening the armies of the
Woohoo.
Nephites and erecting small forts or
Giggity.
places of resort, throwing up banks of earth round about to enclose his armies, and also building walls of stone to encircle them about, round about their cities and the borders of their lands. Yeah, all
Yay.
round about the
Yeehaw.
land. Sounds like a song.
Row, row, row your boat.
All about the land.
And in the weakest fortifications he did place the greater number of men, and thus he did fortify and strengthen the land which was possessed by the Nephites. And thus he was preparing to support their liberty, their lands, their wives, and their children, and their
Oh.
peace.
We got the flags flying.
That's right. Call back to the Standard of Liberty, in case we had
Yeah.
forgotten.
And
I'm
that they
proud
might-
to be a pre-American.
and that they might live unto the Lord their God, and that they might maintain that which was called by their enemies the cause of Christians.
Oh.
The cause
was-
of Christians.
It was the enemies who called them thus.
These damn
Those-
cows of Christians.
The mockers and scoffers.
And Moroni was a strong and a mighty man. He was a man of a perfect understanding. Yeah, a man that
Yay.
did not delight
Yeah.
in bloodshed. A man whose soul did joy in
Bullshit.
the liberty and the freedom of his country. And his brethren from bondage and slavery. Yeah,
This
Yay.
is literally the guy that murdered everybody who was a political rival, right? Like he committed genocide on the people who were like, "No, we're not voting for you." Yeah, no, he does not delight in bloodshed. No, no, no.
No.
He was
He-
super
he's-
bummed about it, guys.
He's a
Oh, I really hate
pacifist.
burning these people to death, man.
a man whose heart did swell with thanksgiving to his God for the many privileges and blessings which he bestowed upon his people. A man who did labor exceedingly for the welfare and safety of his people. Yeah, and he was a
Yay,
man who
woohoo.
was firm in the faith of Christ, and he had sworn with an oath to defend his people, his rights, and his country, and his religion, even to the loss of his blood. Now, Now,
I got
and
a
this-
question about you. He does work exceedingly, right? I mean, have you heard the commercials? Work hard, play hard. But no, I do work exceedingly.
Yep.
Well, and the Lee of that is an addition that's changed from the original Appalachian writing. Like it used to be exceeding instead of exceedingly, but exceeding was way too like hick sounding. Yeah, he worked exceeding good. Like,
Whoa.
no, we got to make it exceedingly. Change it. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa, I didn't catch that. You gotta speak up on those things. I've missed it.
Because God needs an editor.
That's right. Yep.
He can't spell.
Yeehaw.
He never could.
Preferably
Mormon
a
skeptics.
return missionary.
Mormon Skeptic says, curious if panel has opinions on Tim Ballard and OUR.
Oh, lots.
Yeah,
he sounds familiar.
We do.
I mean, if we were going to do that show right now, well, let's do that show right now because I have so much to say about this fucking asshole.
All right. Well, do we want to take a moment to let you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll shut up.
First of all, someone should channel Nephi before we do it.
I mean, we're already trying to call upon Moroni here as best we can on the bicentennial of his appearance. No, look, so Tim Ballard is an asshole, and he is somebody who is basically has sold the raw tourist experience for rescuing victims of sex trafficking, and by doing so was unable to find the victims of sex trafficking that he would background. He created an organization, Operation Underground Railroad, and he would the people who were like the highest ranking donors, he would basically sell to them opportunities to come with him on sting operations that are in anywhere but America because he doesn't want to play by the rules. And they would be like inside the little headquarters while he's busting in and kicking down doors and rescuing these little child victims of sex trafficking. Turns out like all of them appear to have been mostly staged. And in order to get people to get enough victims that he could continue to sell the high membership levels, he would have to speak to sex traffickers and be like, no, we need younger ones. We need you to find younger ones, and then we'll come in and we'll bust you traffickers.
Creating a market.
Yeah. Created a market for underage sex trafficking victims. And basically every organization that actually works with survivors of sex trafficking has spoken out against Operation Underground Railroad, saying that it's causing more harm than it is fixing and that it is creating traumas. And then turns out behind closed doors, all of these bros who run Operation Underground Railroad, they're sexually assaulting the people, the young girls that they're supposedly saving. So it's just a toxic, fucked up institution from the top to the bottom. And Tim Ballard, like he for a minute up until like 2 weeks ago was a golden boy of the Mormon hierarchy because he was this guy with a lot of promise, with a prominent sounding last name, blue Mormon blood, and he's fighting sex trafficking. Like, what more could you want out of this potential U.S. senator to represent Mormons? And every single time a shoe drops, he just turns out to be a sexual predator and a fucking monster of a human being.
But let's not forget that they were trying to find these victims by connecting with a channeler that was channeling Nephi and trying to find these victims through like these it's new age stuff.
Yep. With the whole seer stone in the hat kind of thing. Oh yeah, no, I see the sex trafficker under that mound in the ground over there. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. It's fucked up. It's horrible. And the church took way too long to distance themselves from Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad and the whole Sound of Freedom movie that was super hot, super popular for a little while. That just means that something even bigger is coming really soon about Operation Underground Railroad that we don't know quite yet. So keep your eye on this space. Shit is going to get crazy.
If people have LDS connections, my parents had like bags that they bought from them. Like anybody that's LDS have their little stickers, Underground Railroad, that they hijacked from the actual slaves being taken. The whole name of the Underground Railroad was hijacked from something inappropriate. So Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really crazy.
Yeah, all the
I see
shit
it.
these days is swiped, like that Project White Rose or whatever the hell, which they took from the resistance in Germany, and instead they're out trying to cause a genocide for other people. So that's fun.
And I got another comment from Tomislav Kraji. Kraus? I have no idea how to say that. Sorry. €5. Love you guys. Question for Aaron. Do you have a favorite spider species?
Ooh.
Jimmy, same question. Haha. I remember you mentioning you watch spider videos.
Huh.
I
I
like various
suppose,
blue tarantulas.
yeah, I'm sure I have a favorite spider species, but one does not come to mind at the moment. It'd
There's
probably
like
be one of those
those
ridiculously
little
big and
dudes.
cute jumpers.
Yeah, the cute little guys that like to balance the water droplets on their heads and shit.
Yes.
There's
And then we have a
Brazilian blue tarantula, but I can't remember what it's called. It might, and I'm worried it's called the Brazilian blue tarantula as I say that, but it's cool.
yeah. As somebody else in the chat I noticed asked me how heavy was the python I was holding yesterday. I had what was told. I was told that it was a 12-foot python, and then the guy second guessed it and said, "Well, it must be bigger than 12 feet by now." And I'm thinking, yeah, it's at least 13. I don't know how much bigger than that it is. How much does it weigh? That's what somebody's asking me. I was told it's about 100 pounds. Didn't feel quite that heavy to me, but close.
Was that the
So,
black
nope.
rainbow snake?
It was. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
Very
You and
cool.
That was
Leander
and
holding that.
yeah, that was magnificent. So I told him if he breeds another one like that, call me. All right, then, Mr. Tam O'Shantner, Shanter offers $10 and says, "I think Transformers is divinely inspired, and Optimus Prime is the true Christ." But
More
yeah,
than meets the eye.
He did come back from the dead, and we have a book
but
about
yeah.
it.
Did Megatron try to steal all the Energon, and usurp the throne of Optimus?
Autobots stage their battles to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons.
Oh, Gazalem knows the whole song.
Bring me back. Oh, it's so good.
I am out of my element with you people.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, Tomer, why aren't you reading?
Yeah, exactly. Now, the Nephites were taught to defend themselves against their enemies, even to the shedding of blood if it were necessary. Yeah. And they were
Yay.
also taught never to give an
Woohoo.
offense. Yeah. And never to
Yay.
raise the sword
Woohoo.
except it were against an enemy, except it were to preserve their lives. And this was their faith, that by so doing God would prosper them in the land. Or, in other words,
I'd be willing to
yeah.
bet there's probably a technicality in there. This is like the castle doctrine in the Book of Mormon, right? Like, oh no, I swear I was defending myself. Oh, he looked really mean at me.
I was in fear of my life. That's why. Yeah, never mind.
Or, in other words, if they were faithful in keeping the commandments of God, that he would prosper them in the land. Yeah, warn them to
Yay.
flee or to prepare for war according to their danger. And also that God would make it known unto them whither they should go to defend themselves against their enemies. And by so doing, the Lord would deliver them. And this was the faith of Moroni, and his heart did glory in it. Okay. Not
That's
in
cool.
the shedding, not in the shedding of blood, but in doing good, in preserving his people. Yeah, in keeping the
Yay.
commandments of God. Yeah, and
Yay.
resisting iniquity. Yeah,
Yeah.
verily. Verily.
Verily,
I say
verily.
unto you.
Yay, verily, verily. Yeah.
But the verily is in a comma, so it's not like verily. It's verily.
Proper
Verily, yeah. Verily I say unto you, if all men had been, and were, and ever would be like unto Moroni, behold, the very powers of hell would have been shaken forever. Yeah, the
Yay.
devil would
The
never
devil.
have power over the hearts of the children of men.
That's the so Gazalem gave us homework before this episode with the creepy Mormon family Bible study. And the son in the video basically says verse 17, like it's almost word for word. He said, if everyone was like Moroni, the powers of hell would be shaken and the devil would never have power over the hearts of men forever. I'm like doing a double take with the deja vu going on in this verse here.
It's crazy because it comes down to missionary work too. If missionaries would keep their mouth shut and wouldn't say anything, people that never were looking for the gospel will be saved. They don't have anything to. They'll be saved and for eternally. But people that do know about the gospel and then deny it are damned to hell. So you're better off never knowing.
Mhm.
Behold, he was a man like unto Ammon, the son of Mosiah. Yeah, and
Yay.
even the other sons of Mosiah. Yeah, and also Alma and
Woohoo.
his sons, for they were all men of God.
It's just a whole callbacks episode. We got the Zoramites, we got Ammon, we got the other brothers of Ammon, we got all the sons of Mosiah. This is great. Oh, that's
Greatest hits.
Yeah. Now behold, Hella man and his
Hella
brethren
man.
were no less serviceable unto unto the people that was Moroni.
no less
Wait,
service.
than was Moroni. Wait,
Uh-huh.
were no less serviceable? Okay.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Let's keep that. For they did preach the word of God, and they did baptize unto repentance all men whosoever would hearken unto their words. And thus they went forth, and the people did humble themselves because of their words, insomuch that they were highly favored of the Lord. And thus they were free from wars and contentions among themselves. Yeah, even for the space of
Woohoo.
4 years.
Ooh,
But-
4 years. This is the longest peace in history right here.
As I have said, in the latter end of the 19th year. Yeah, notwithstanding their
Yay.
peace amongst themselves, they were compelled reluctantly to contend with their brethren, the Lamanites. Yeah.
Oh.
And in
Whoa.
fine, there
Yeah.
was never did cease for the space of many years with the Lamanites, notwithstanding their much reluctance.
All
Now,
right, so it was just like, yeah, they had peace for 4 years, except for all the fighting, but they really didn't want to do the fighting. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
pretty
they
much
were really
peaceful.
reluctant about it.
Yeah, if you ignore the
Notwithstanding.
giant war, it was a long period of peace. Yes.
now they were sorry to take up arms against the Lamanites because they did not delight in the shedding of blood.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I
Yay.
killed you.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
like
sorry.
we're-
Ooh, were they ancient Canadians? Whack. Sorry. Whack. So sorry. Whack.
I do not
Sorry.
delight in this.
Did I break my vase over your head?
And this was not all. Dash! They were sorry to be the means of sending so many of the brethren out of this world into an eternal world, unprepared to meet their God.
As they're stabbing, let me tell you about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay, you're dead. All right, sweet. Got one.
Missionary work.
Yeah, how does one get a missionary position?
Giggity, giggity.
You feel called to it.
Nevertheless, they could not suffer to lay down their lives that their wives and their children should be massacred by the barbarous cruelty of those who were once their brethren. Yeah, and had
Yay.
dissented from their church and had left them and had gone to destroy them by joining the Lamanites. Yeah, they
Yay.
could
Yeah.
not bear that their brethren should rejoice over the blood of the Nephites, so long as there were any who should keep the commandments of God. For the promise of the Lord was, if they should keep his commandments, they should prosper in the land.
Well, I would rather that than prospering in the sea, I suppose.
It is a plus, though.
later.
I'm wondering how one keeps the
Later.
commandments when the whole, murder everyone who disagrees thing kind of seems to conflict with that thou shalt not kill. But I guess that's optional.
Seemingly.
This book has
Yeah.
really never abided by that whole like 10 Commandments thing. And like the very first
Mhm.
thing that God does in this Book of Mormon is like show some visions to a dude and then tells another dude to like kill somebody. And the dude is like, no, I don't want to kill the guy. And God's like, no, you're killing the guy. All right. So,
Yeah,
let's-
I'm just looking at Jimmy and thinking I know what he's thinking. I could read his mind. Yeah, these gummies are okay, but I've had better.
I'm just multitasking. I've got screens. I'm doing work.
We're glad
that's
you're
what
here,
we call it.
brother.
Word.
So Winter's Scoop says only kill in defense of life. What about the Utah massacres?
Ooh. Yeah, the original September 11th. That was some twisted
Fill us
shit.
in. Fill us in, please.
Babies over wagon wheels. You get a baby and you get a wagon wheel and you smash the baby over the wagon wheel.
Apparently it makes a pretty satisfying crack for those Mormon boys. Yeah, no. So what happened? This was during the Utah War. Brigham Young was he had finished the end of his governorship in the territory of Utah, and he refused to step down. So President Buchanan was like, "We're going to send a military your way to remove you from your dictatorship in Utah there and install a non-Mormon governor." And Brigham was like, you can go fuck yourself. And that incited the Utah War. During that, of course, Brigham infected the entire Mormon population with rhetoric about how the government is sending spies. They're trying to overthrow us.
I
They're
really
trying
thought
to
you were going to
stop
say
us.
syphilis.
There was probably any of that going around too. Don't worry. So Brigham sent this rhetoric all over and got all of the Mormons in a frothing rage against the government, and an unwitting wagon train, because Utah was one of the places that you had to stop if you were heading from the east to California. You had to resupply in Utah from the Mormons. You had to buy and sell goods there in order to make the trip the rest of the way across Nevada and into California. So an unwitting troop of these immigrants were unaware of what happened, but Brigham Young had basically told the Mormons that there was a band of spies, and the Mormons responded by massacring all 120 of them. Anybody under the age of or over the age of 12 was killed, and the youngest babies, because they didn't want to deal with them, some of them were killed as well. And then the young children that did survive, they were taken and they were given into Mormon families, and the families, those kids grew up and left later reminiscences of what they remembered happening. There's like 3 or 4 detailed accounts from these survivors of the Mountain Meadows Massacre, and it's just a harrowing and incredibly fucked up story, all perpetrated by Mormons. All about Mormons. And it was a 5-day siege that they starved out the immigrants. And then on the end of that siege, September 11th, the Mormons walked in with a white flag waving, and they said, hey, we bought you some time with the people who are sieging you. Let's escort you out of this little defensive position that you find yourselves in, and we'll get you safely headed out to California. And they separated the men from the women. And when they had each man in the train had a Mormon militiaman assigned to him, and they disarmed them, and the Mormons shot all of the men. And then they summarily butchered all of the women and children.
Can I say really quick too, people like Turley with his new book that came out about it, that want to distance Brigham Young from that. Brigham Young may have not set the order, but he absolutely created the climate that happened in.
That's why we need Will Bagley's Blood of the Prophets to illustrate exactly what that is. And he just built on Brooks's work, right? She was doing this research almost 100 years ago, investigating, looking into like the ties, or like how the Mountain Meadows Massacre actually happened. And, Will Bagley comes along in the late 90s and was like, hey, I just gotta complete what she had started, and did an excellent job. And Blood of the Prophets is a really brutal read, very detailed about it, and it properly articulates the culture of fear that Brigham Young had instated with his rhetoric.
I don't believe you, Bryce, because my Mormon family never taught me about any of this.
Well, I'm probably wrong. Yep. What can I say?
Can I just say we miss you, brother Bill Bagley.
Yep, 100%. Good dude.
All right. So Mormon Skeptic says when POS Mike Lee quoted the description of Moroni and then said it was describing Trump was a huge shelf cracking moment for me.
Holy shit. When did Mike Lee say that?
Quoted the description of Moroni and then said it
yeah.
Is he the
describing
senator?
Trump.
He was the one who
Yeah.
said that he thinks of Trump as Captain Moroni.
Yeah,
remember?
that's what you were talking about last week, Jimmy. I think.
Did you just think I was lying? Brian. Bryce, I think I called you Brian.
No, I've never seen it. That's what's crazy. Well, and Mike Lee was super instrumental in like the legal cases in Nevada and in Arizona trying to overturn the election too. So like Mike Lee is super ingratiated in the insurrection movement.
All right, so we got another comment from let's see, this is Winter's Scoop, who says they handled themselves and God blessed them. Proof in the Book of Mormon that masturbation is divine.
There we go.
Okay.
Yes. I like it.
How the world creation of the world started with the divine ejaculation.
Bryce, in the chat, I put the link for you. That should have the quote and then Mike Lee responding to the criticisms for saying it also.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oof.
And then Wade
Holy
Eberly
shit.
offers $4.99 and says,
Actually, wait, can I read the quote? Because it's actually even
Yes.
funnier than to my Mormon friends, my Latter-day Saint friends, think of him as Captain Moroni, pointing to Trump. He seeks not power, but to pull it down. He seeks not the praise of the world or the fake news, but he seeks the well-being and the peace of the American people. He isn't describing Trump or Captain Moroni.
To God, to our religion, to our women, and our children, or whatever.
He seeks not praise of the world. He literally built his own fucking well, he didn't build it, but he had built a social media site of not savants, of what's the word? People who just do whatever you want them to do.
Sycophants.
Sycophants, yeah.
sycophants. Yep.
Yeah. Sycophant social.
I love
Not
that
to
there's
mention-
a quote in here from Benjamin Park. He wrote Kingdom of Nauvoo. Excellent historian, and he's like, I didn't think I'd have to say this, and I don't feel like writing a whole op-ed about it. But let me be clear: Donald Trump is not Captain Moroni.
Fucking real. I mean, the dude couldn't build a fucking hut without putting his name on it in 20-foot letters.
Yeah, he's not seeking praise,
I
but
don't
that's
know, they've
absolutely the only thing he wants.
They have all those blue line flags and stuff.
That's right.
So Wade Aberly offers $4.99 and says you should replace every "verily I say unto you" with "no, like seriously, bruh."
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then
Let me be honest.
Red Jester Productions says, can we get an explanation of this Mormon grimoire that Gazalem is working on? I think I do a similar thing with journaling about alchemy. Have fun, friends. Or have fun, friends. I'm not sure.
Absolutely. I'd like to talk about it really quick because with the 200-year anniversary of Joseph Smith getting the golden plates, I actually got the 24 plates and received them, all 24 of them, on the 21st and the 22nd in order to complete the Grimoire of Mormon. So I'm in the middle of translating the plates, the 24 plates that we talked about a couple weeks ago as in Alma 37. And so,
and how much would you pay for these 24 plates? But wait, there's more.
Why does that keep coming up today?
But there's more. But there's more. The Grimoire of Mormon will be translated from these herefore 24 plates. So stay tuned.
Fascinating. We should have a discussion when you're ready to go public with that.
Yeah,
Then
we
Mormon
will.
Skeptic says, growing up Mormon, we were taught that Mountain Meadow Massacre was anti-Mormon propaganda.
Yep. 100%.
Of course.
Yep.
That's
surprised,
exactly
Arn, that
what
you
they
never
would
heard of it.
say.
Yeah, because most like in most Mormon homes, you'll hear about Mountain Meadows Massacre, and it's like, oh, shh, Mountain like it's very hushed and spoken of in a lot of Mormon families. Like it's known about, but like what actually happened, nobody has any idea.
Let's send
Tomer.
J. Warner Wallace. Yeah,
Yeah.
the detective guy. Let's send him to go check it out.
There you
Yes,
Tomer, why aren't you
Yeah.
reading? What's up, man?
because it's the end of the chapter.
Mountain
Details.
I mean, do you want me to read? I mean, I can.
No,
Of course not. Bye.
Let's give somebody else a turn. I can, or Jimmy's here. Let's take advantage of that. Or anybody wants to read. Who wants to?
Yeah, I'm down to read.
Okay.
Go for
Thank-
it.
All right, here we
49.
go.
And
Harry
it came
Potter
to pass.
and the Sorcerer's Stone. Uncle Vernon. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I don't even know how that starts. Also, I could have thought of better books to do the bit with. The Lord of the Rings. Chapter 49. And now it came to pass that in the 11th month of the 19th year of the 10th day of the month, the armies of the just say November 19th.
I lost my place and I totally thought you were ad-lib joking for a minute. It really does. It really says that.
Yeah, it does. They just be putting dates up in here. Of the 19th year of what though? 'Cause this is BC. Oh,
Reign of
is
the
this of the
Judges
reign
still.
of the judges?
Oh yeah.
19th year
It's
of the
a
reign of the
reign
judges.
judges.
The reign of the
Hallelujah.
judges.
It's a reign.
Hallelujah.
The armies of the Lamanites were seen approaching toward the lands of Ammonihah. Wait, so is Alma writing all for whatever number of books? Like, why did they not break? How is there a first and second book of Nephi, a
Yeah,
third and fourth
this-
book of Nephi? But Alma's like, you know what would be dope? 700 chapters.
Yeah, it should have been broken up for sure.
Do the fucking the
Come-
book of Ammon.
Come on,
Pre-existing
Joe.
text. Pre-existing text.
I just
This is the Book of Helaman that we're in right now.
Yeah,
this feels
100%.
like a decision, is what I'm saying. That they
Yeah,
decided to make it one
A
long
few
book.
chapters ago, it said that this is the end of the whole Amma narrative.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right.
We have
We're
these-
just gonna keep on Alma-ing anyway. We're
But is it
not
like-
over Alma.
Is he still at least writing it? Is it like, I'm done talking about myself, but now I'm going to gossip about these queenie bitches?
That's what's happening.
That's right. Helaman slay. And
Helaman.
behold, actually, that's more Captain Moroni's thing. And behold, the city had been rebuilt, and Moroni had stationed an army by the borders of the city, and they had cast up dirt around about to shield them from the arrows and the stones of the Lamanites. But it was America, so they didn't know how to use the roundabout. For behold, they fought with stones and with arrows. I thought the roundabout joke was my best one so far, and I got one laugh. One laugh. Anyway,
It's top for today.
agreeing.
There wasn't a big enough pause.
well, you're supposed to overwhelm me with your laughter.
Overwhelm me with something funny.
The roundabout joke was solid.
That was.
Back in Washington, D.C. in the early 80s, I went on a roundabout. So they've been around for a while.
I was in Cheyenne when they got their first roundabout, and I don't know if this was a rumor or if it was real, but allegedly someone died within like 7 hours of them opening it. That's how bad American roundabout.
What the hell's this thing? Oh!
Where do I go?
The road's supposed to be lines, not circles. Ah!
We've got to get back to the future. Behold, I said that the city of Ammonihah had been rebuilt. I said unto you,
Ooh.
yeah, that it was
Yay.
part rebuilt, and because the Lamanites had destroyed it once because of the iniquity of the people, they supposed that it would again become an easy prey for them. But
Because
behold,
Amalekia used the force and launched the torpedoes into the exhaust port, so it's only partially rebuilt.
are we going to put that same exhaust port right back there again?
Might as well.
I mean,
I
why
remember-
not?
What's the chances they'll nail that lucky shot twice? I mean, come on.
I remember driving a rental car through North Ireland and going through a roundabout and forgetting how to do roundabouts.
Yeah,
And I remember I went through it at 60 skidding two directions with my wife
No.
Bloody Americans!
But behold, how great was their disappointment. For behold, the Nephites had a really advanced technology. They dug up a
What?
ridge of earth round about them, which was so high that the Lamanites could not cast their stones and their arrows at them,
Whoa,
that they
that's
might take
smart.
effect. Neither, I want to see this dug up ridge. Neither could they come upon them, save it was by their place of entrance. Well, that's the Grand Canyon.
Whoa.
Proof of the Book of Mormon, the Grand Canyon. This is what
There
they're
we
talking
go.
about. Dug by the Nephites, dug by the Nephites. Dug, dug.
Proves
Now-
that they're giants. Proves that they're giants.
but not too big. They still had to block the arrows.
Mhm.
Now at this time, the chief captains of the Lamanites were astonished exceedingly
Whoa.
because of the wisdom
Wow.
of the Nephites in preparing their places of security.
Holy
Guys,
shit! We
Not
got
only do they-
guys.
They have armor and shields and now dirt. How are we supposed to overcome this?
Captain, they've dug holes. I've never seen a smarter group of young, reckless warriors.
I'm
Our loincloths will. Our loincloths and arrows will never go against this.
A hole, you say? Bring me my wise men.
Amalek is standing at the front of his army. He's like, man, I just don't know what the fuck we're gonna do at this.
It's so funny that we have a bunch of Mormons that grew up Mormons saying Amalekia.
I dare you. Yeah, I dare you.
To lick it.
Now at this time, the chief captains of the Lamanites were astonished. Oh, I already said that. Now the leaders of the Lamanites had supposed, because of the greatness of their numbers, they
Yay.
supposed
Yeah.
that they should be privileged to come upon them as
They're
they had
privileged.
hitherto done. Is hitherto one word in all of your versions?
Yeah.
Just checking. Yeah, and they had
Yay.
also
Yeah.
prepared themselves with shields and with breastplates, and they had also prepared themselves with garments of skins. Yea,
Ooh,
sheepskin
yeah, that's the garments that Adam and Eve had. That's the garments of skin.
and
Wait.
sheepskin garments, because some of them were allergic to latex. Very thick garments to cover their nakedness. I think I heard a wait from Tomer.
No, I was thinking about the fig. The fig leaf.
Fig leaves, yeah. We'll go
Right.
into battle wearing vegetation.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had no choice but to jerk each other off. For
Nope.
they must perform without distraction. But behold, okay, I
That's
admit, I
not,
wasn't.
that's not in the 1830 version.
In the 1830 version, he only addressed it to 14-year-olds. And being thus prepared, boo, too soon. And being thus prepared, they suppose that they should easily overpower and subject their brethren to the yoke of bondage, or slay and massacre them according to their pleasure, or hold them
Woohoo.
down and tickle them, and light kisses till the nipples are fine. Never hurt
Hell yeah.
nobody. But behold,
And a donkey punch, just for good measure.
Grab. But behold, to their uttermost astonishment, they were prepared for them in a manner which never had been known among the children of Lehi. Now they were
Whoa.
prepared for the Lamanites to battle after the manner of the instructions of Moroni. And it came to pass
Whoa.
that the Lamanites, or the Amalekites, were exceedingly astonished at their manner of preparation for war. Damn, these bitches is so prepared right now. Now, if King Amalek, who had come down out of the land of Nephi at the head of his army, perhaps he would have caused the Lamanites to have attacked the Nephites at the city of Amanamana. For behold, he did not care for the blood of this people.
You are butchering the sacred names.
But behold, Amalekia did not come down himself to battle, and being a little bitch, behold, his captain,
Chief of captains,
Durst, Robert Durst, not a
Fred
Captain
Durst.
Durst.
Right.
Excuse
Captain
me,
Fred Durst.
Captain Fred Durst not attack the Nephites of the city of Amanamana. For Moroni had altered the management of affairs among the Nephites in so much that the Lamanites were disappointed in their places of retreat. They could not come upon them.
Oh, they had to just retain it, just hang on to it.
They
Wait
have
till
like
later.
this disease. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna say what kind of disease.
Therefore, they retreated into the wilderness and took their camp and marched towards the land of Noah. Which Noah,
Whoa.
you ask? That's half the fun.
King Noah, Noah with the ark, or what Noah?
Little known fact, same Noah. Figure that out. No, that's not true. I made that up. Well, before that becomes an easy anti-Mormon, anti-Mormon video. It's probably
quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
In quantum physics, Noah can be here and there at the same time simultaneously.
Yeah, that is
Well-
not currently canon until Rusty Nelson's dementia further sets in.
Little known fact, Noah's Ark was actually a TARDIS. That's why it had the space inside for all the animals and how they
So
survived the
true.
year. They just time traveled.
Yeah, there was
They
a
just skipped
Tesla
it.
coil on it.
It's way bigger inside than it looks from the outside.
Now, why didn't God just do that?
Because reasons. Shut up.
Very mysterious.
People might think it's
The
too
word-
absurd to believe.
That's
the
the
Lord
thing
works
is,
in delirious ways.
there are UFO cults that believe that Noah's Ark was actually the genetic banks of all the animals, had all the genetic makeups that were calculated and created.
Yeah. And so now, what are we going to do with all these frozen embryos with no uteruses?
Well, you see, God couldn't just poof them into existence again the way he did the first time. That'd be, you don't want to do the same trick twice. The audience gets bored, right? So you got to save the
but you
DNA.
you can do the loaves and fishes twice.
Shh.
What verse did I leave off on?
12. No, sorry, 13. 13.
13. Okay. Sorry. I was just asking. I wasn't trying to interrupt y'all's flow. I'm sure the jokes were
No.
great. I heard laughter.
Go ahead, please.
For they knew not that Moroni had fortified or had built forts of security, or every city in all the land round about. Therefore they marched forward to the land of Noah with a firm determination, so firm. Yeah. Their
Yay.
chief captains came forward, not backward, and took an oath that they would destroy the people of that city. But behold,
Ooh.
to their astonishment, the city of Noah, which had hitherto been a weak place, had now, by the means of Moroni, become strong,
Nice.
even to exceed the strength of
Good
the city
save.
of Bamajara. And now, behold, this was wisdom in Moroni, for he had supposed that they would be frightened at the city of Bamajara, and as the city of Noah had hitherto been the weakest part of the land, therefore they would march thither to battle, and thus it was according to his desires.
Ooh.
And behold, Moroni had appointed Lehi to be chief captain over the men of that city, but he had been dead for hundreds of years.
Yeah, what
And it-
Lehi is this? For a minute. What?
Well, here's and it was that same Lehi who fought with the Lamanites in the valley on the east of the river Sidon. So, dumb question.
This Hannibal Lehi. That's who that
Yeah,
is.
that's right.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And now, behold, it came to Hannibal Lehi is pretty
Behold.
solid. I just want to stop the show and give him some credit for that. That's pretty dope.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. That's how you were supposed to do it with the roundabout joke. Anyway,
I'll get the cue next time.
Hannibal Lehi.
and now it came to pass that when the Lamanites had found Lehi, that Lehi commanded the city, they were again disappointed, for they feared Lehi exceedingly. That guy, Lehi, he probably knows how to dig holes and shit, they said. Nevertheless,
Sure does.
their captains had sworn with an oath to attack the city. Therefore, they brought up their armies.
And
Now
they're like,
behold,
y'all see any forests around here? Because last time that Lehi bastard jumped out and got us.
Now behold, the Lamanites had not
Behold.
get into their forts of security by any other way save by the entrance, because of the highness of the bank which had been thrown up, and the depth of the ditch which had been dug round about. Save it were by the entrance. We've invented swords, but we haven't managed to invent ladders and ropes. Anyway,
or
Ladders are
brick
hard.
walls. Brick
Yeah.
walls either.
Mayhap we shall pile up upon these stones and create a fortification. No, let's dig a damn hole.
the Lamanites have table saws, but we can't do shit. And thus, the Nephites prepared to destroy all such as should attempt to climb up to enter the fort by any other way, by casting over stones and arrows at them.
We have
Thus-
rocks and
Thus
sticks.
they were prepared, a body of their strongest men, with their swords and their slings
Yeah.
to smite down all who should attempt to come into their place of security by the place of entrance. And thus they were prepared to defend themselves against the Lamanites. And it came to pass that the captains of the Lamanites brought up their armies before the place of entrance and began to contend with the Nephites to get into their place of security. But behold, they were driven back from time to
Behold.
time. Time after time. If
They-
you're
in
lost,
fact,
Time after time.
They weren't just driven back from time to time. They were pushed all the way into the BCs.
if you're
Time
lost,
after
you
time.
can try and we'll dig a hole. Time after time.
time.
In so much that they were
Go.
slain with an immense slaughter.
Oh, what you bastard.
Now when they found that they could not obtain power of the Nephites by the pass, they began to dig their own banks of the earth, that they might obtain a pass to their armies by being more of a power bottom. That they might
Their
have
own
an-
ditches.
If we can't submit I fucked it up with my mouth words. That they might have an equal chance to fight, but behold, in these attempts they were swept off by the
Behold.
stones and arrows which were thrown at them. They're throwing arrows.
That's how you do it, right?
Arrows and stones over dirt walls.
And instead of filling up their ditches by pulling down the base of the earth, they were filled up in a measure with their dead and wounded bodies.
Whoa.
Thus-
Wounded?
Yeah, they were super wounded.
Wounded.
Thus, the Nephites had all power over the. You're supposed to just yes and me, Aaron. What the fuck? Thus, the Nephites had all the power over their enemies, and thus the Lamanites did attempt to destroy the Nephites until their chief captains were all slain. Yeah, and more than 1,000 of the Lamanites were slain. I'm going to start doing the rest like I'm gossiping on a phone call. While on the other hand, there was not a single soul of the Nephites which was slain, but there were about like 50 who were wounded, who had been exposed to the arrows of the Lamanites through the past, but they were shielded by their shields and their breastplates and their head plates, in so much that their wounds upon their legs, many of which were very severe. This weirdly works. Anyone else
It sure
noticing?
does.
No, it's
kind
kind
of
of flowing.
works.
I dig it. Yeah.
We're
Yeah, and
We're
look, you know what that happened next? You know what came to pass? When the Lamanites saw that their chief captains were all slain, they fled into the wilderness. And it came to
Oh.
pass that they returned to the land of Nephi to inform their king, Amalickiah, you remember that guy, who was a
Amalickiah.
Nephite by birth, concerning their great loss. Now,
I need to
why
see the birth
so many
certificate.
chapters in am I only just now mentioning Nephite by birth for a seemingly unrelated, for no reason? And, sorry, does someone else have commentary?
No, I'm waiting.
Mysterious
I'm waiting to
reasons.
find
Oh,
out.
we're on the edge.
We're on the edge of our seats, Jimmy.
Is it working? It's getting people hanging
No,
by a
it's-
thread because I sound
honestly,
like
like,
that's me.
It's taking away like the whole scriptural mystique to it, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it sounds biblical-ish, so it's like it feels
Basically,
like
the
scripture, but
reverse
when-
of what I'm
it
trying
just
to
sounds
do.
like you're just
Yeah.
like talking like it's mind-blowing. I don't know why. It's just dispelling a
works.
lot for me.
Tomer says I'm the anti-Tomer. So then it comes to pass that he was exceedingly angry with his people because he had not obtained his desire over the Nephites. He had not even subjected them to the yoke of bondage. So yeah, he was exceedingly
Yay.
wroth. And yeah, he did curse God and
Yeah.
also Moroni, I'm not kidding, swore an oath that he would drink his blood. Drink his blood.
Oh, yeah.
Gross. And this all because Moroni had just kept the commandments of God, caring for the safety of his people, as
God
one
damn it.
does.
Digging holes is a commandment, apparently.
So
Who
then,
knew?
so then, and like this is kind of between us. So then it comes to pass that, okay, on the other hand, the people of Nephi, they did thank the Lord their God, but because of his matchless power in delivering them from the hands of their enemies. And so that's what then ended the 19th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi. Yeah. And there was like continual peace among them and like exceedingly great prosperity in the church because of their heed and their diligence, which they gave unto the word of God. Sorry, I kind of have to say this on all of these to like cover myself. But that's what he declared unto them by Helaman and Shiblon and Corianton, and obviously Ammon and his brethren. I bet you can't name two of them. And by all
etc.
and by all those who had been ordained by the holy order of God, been baptized upon repentance, and sent forth to preach among the people. And a final disclaimer,
etc.
The views here do not necessarily reflect the views of the reign of the judges.
Some restrictions apply, not valid in all 50 states.
Yeah.
Jimmy, does it end with people? Is it people, period?
Oh, let me go back. It ends with people, period. Yeah.
Oh, no, for me, and C, period.
Etc.
People and C, period. Etc.
Yep.
Etc. is how it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. People, comma, and C, period.
There's also when it says Helaman and Shiblon and Corianton and Ammon and his brethren, there's an etc.
Yeah, etc.
Yep.
I threw it in there just for good measure.
Love it.
Okay, I'll read chapter 50. I see one comment.
Ace. So that one is the Raven 200, who offers $5 and says, Jimmy, go take a destructive death, 8-layered demon core, then a blazing universe.
Woohoo! Boom!
Raven's just following you around to give you creative death threats.
Ace.
Okay.
All right.
Chapter
Come here.
50.
Get on with it, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
so real quick, it's 22 for me. Chapter 22.
Well, I guess that's
Very
why
long
they didn't
chapters.
break it up so much. They were just like, no, it'll still only be a few chapters, just 1,000 verses each.
So it's weird that that's chapter 22 in the 1830 edition because that's chapter 20 in the original manuscript.
Oh, whoa.
That's really weird. I've never paid attention to that being the case before. Huh.
It's kind of like
It is.
starting on Don't Stop Believing by Journey, and then the end of that one song is Billie Jean Is Not My Lover by Michael. It's like that big of a, but it's all one song that started with
am the one.
Yes, I am the one, but the child is not my son. I'm so
Get a
glad.
DNA
Yeah,
test.
can I
Homer,
read now?
please rescue us.
I
Please.
feel like I'm
okay.
allowed to like his music again now that he's dead. It's really nice that he died.
Michael. That's not my song.
I think I'll just start reading. And now
All
it
right,
came
but
to
I'll
pass
just keep
that
singing.
Moroni did not stop making preparations for war or to defend his people against the Lamanites. For he caused that his armies should commence in the commencement of the 20th year of the reign of the judges. That
The
they
solid
should
plan.
commence- that they should commence in digging up heaps of earth round about all the cities, throughout all the land which was possessed by the Nephites.
So it's odd that they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Moroni made a declaration that all of the Nephite cities should dig ditches, but the last 5 verses or whatever of the previous chapter was the Lamanites fighting against all of these Nephite fortifications and ditches and dying to them. So it's like, do we have to like go back in time for this? Is that what's
I told you, time travel. Also, they did dig through the ditches. What comes next
And
is,
burn
I
through the
assume,
witches.
exactly.
happening?
And upon the top of these ridges of earth, he caused that there should be timbers. Yeah, walks of timbers
Yay.
built up to the height of a man round about the cities. And he caused that upon those walks of timbers there should be a frame of pickets built upon the timbers round about. and they were strong and high, and he caused towers to be erected that overlooked those walks of pickets, and he caused places of security to be built upon those towers, and that the stones and the arrows of the Lamanites could not hurt them. And they were prepared that they could cast stones from the top thereof, according to their pleasure and their strength, and slay him who should attempt to approach near the walls of the city. Thus Moroni did prepare strongholds against the coming of their enemies, round about every city in all the land. And it came to pass that Moroni caused that his armies should go forth into the east wilderness. Yeah, and they went
Yay.
forth and drove all the Lamanites who were in the east wilderness into their own lands, which were south of the land of Zarahemla. And the land of Nephi did run in a straight course from the east sea to the west. And it came to pass that when Moroni had driven all the Lamanites out of the wilderness, out of the east wilderness, which was north of the lands of their own possession, he caused that the inhabitants who were in the land of Zarahemla and in the land round about should go forth into the east wilderness, even to the borders by the seashore, and possess the land. And he also placed. Oh,
I was going to
Go
ask
ahead,
Gazalem a question there, but that was before I looked up, so never mind.
okay. And he also placed armies on the south, in the borders of their possessions, and caused them to erect fortifications that they might secure their armies and their people from the hands of their enemies. Do you want to ask me now?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Gazalem, they just read that in verse 8. Well, paragraph 2, somewhere in the middle of that for you. And the land of Nephi did run in a straight course from the east sea to the west. Is that implying east sea to the west? I didn't say west sea, but like that feels like it's almost necessary that it needs to be on the narrow neck of land in Central America, right?
It's clearly
So,
Panama.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't understand how like Heartlanders read that. The Heartlanders are the Mormons who think that the Book of Mormon took place in like Illinois, basically. So I don't know how they read that passage and make it work. Did the entirety of the land of Nephi run from the state of Washington to the state of Maine or something?
Yeah,
Well, you
to
see,
have it
back
be
in
from
those
the West
days,
Sea.
there was a big inland sea.
It was all Lake Bonneville. That's what it was.
I'll send you some connections because I found a little old lady recently that's a big Heartlander that has all these crazy videos and stuff that I'm like, holy crap, this is wild stuff. But yeah, from the West Sea running to by the head of the river's side, and to map that stuff out. Yeah, it's funny. People come up with crazy maps. They can the prover will prove what the believer will believe, you know?
There you go.
Red Jester Productions says, so they commence with the commencement of the commencing and digging of the ditches.
They did. Yep.
But they have to be strong and high while they're erecting fortifications. So, yeah. So, well, I think whoever wrote this was strongly high.
Agreed.
And thus he cut off all the strongholds of the Lamanites in the east wilderness. Yeah, and also
Yay.
on the west, fortifying the line between the Nephites and the Lamanites, between the land of Zarahemla and the land of
Woohoo.
Nephi, from the west sea running by the head of the river Sidon. Yeah, the Nephites
Yay.
possessing all the land northward. Yeah, even all the
Yay.
land which was northward of the land bountiful, according to their pleasure. Thus,
Okay,
Moroni-
so Bryce, you grew up in Bountiful. That should
Yeah.
be your answer.
And I mean, Salt Lake City is kind of, or sorry, Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake is pretty much directly west of that, but a little bit more south. So
Yeah, so
sure, why
we're
not?
probably we're in Utah.
Zarahemla is in Utah. Good to know.
I
Sweet.
knew it.
Thus Moroni, with his armies, which did increase daily because of the assurance of protection which his works did bring forth unto them, did seek to cut off the strength and power of the Lamanites from off the lands of their possessions, that they should have no power upon the lands of their possession. And it came to pass that the Nephites began the foundation of a city, and they called the name of the city Moroni. Like
Ooh.
the okay. Yeah. Well,
I
let's name the
love-
city after the angel. Okay. And it was by the East Sea.
That
And
was
it
a
was
different Moroni. Jesus, keep track.
Yeah.
Is it?
God,
I'm
you need-
losing.
I'm gonna bet you don't
Lehi,
even
Nephi, Noah. Come on. Keep track
know
of these
your
guys.
Lehis, know your Nephis. There's a couple Almas, Moroni.
Noah.
That's basically just the James Smith of this group.
If
They all sound
only
the
they
same
had
to me.
invented surnames.
Keep track,
Yes.
bro.
Or,
What if
or
they
like
did-
numerals.
What if they did? They're just really embarrassing last name. Like Lehi's last name is like
Moriancomer.
Cooter.
And it was by the East Sea, and it was on the south by the line of the possessions of the Lamanites. And they also began foundation for a city between the city of Moroni and the city of Aaron, joining the
Ooh.
borders of Aaron and Moroni. And they called the name of the city of the land Nephia.
Nephi ha! Ha
Wait, what verse is this?
Haha.
14.
14.
Nephi.
It's really Nephi, huh? Okay.
Nephi ha!
And what is the ha meant to be? What is that in ancient Reformed Egyptian? What is that the
It's
significance
all-
of adding the ha in a way that they have not done with anything else?
They
Same.
did with
I mean,
Ammoniha
Yeah.
and
It-
Amalekia.
all right, fair enough.
Amalekia, I think.
I thought
It-
those were
it's-
people.
It's Aleph Hey in Aleph Hey.
Yes.
Ha.
Aleph Hayes but
Ha.
okay, and if you want to say ha, you use a two haze ha, but
Hey,
if
Yeah.
hey.
So. Ha ha.
Hey,
like,
hey.
Ha 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 ha.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, hey.
and okay, and they also began in that same year to build many cities on the north, one in a particular manner which they called Lehi. Again,
Woohoo! But the thing is Lehi is south of Bountiful, so that's confusing.
which was in the north by the borders of the seashore, and thus ended the 20th year. And
That was a quick year.
Like,
16
like,
verses.
nothing has happened too, right? Like this whole chapter so far is, oh, by the way, this is how the technology of forts works. And they built a shitload of them. That's the whole year. We're done. Do we need this? Nah. Pre-existing text.
Yeah. And in the prosperous circumstances were the people of Nephi in the commencement of the
Woohoo, Nephi.
21st year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi. And they did prosper exceedingly, and they became exceedingly rich. Yeah, and they did
Yay.
multiply and wax strong in the land. And thus we see how merciful and just are all the dealings of the Lord to the fulfilling of all his words unto the children of men. Yeah, we can behold
Yeah.
that his words are verified even at this time, which he spake unto Lehi, saying, Blessed art thou and
Blessed
thy
art
children,
thou.
and they shall be blessed, inasmuch as they should keep my commandments, they should prosper in the land. But remember, inasmuch as they will not keep my commandments, they shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord. And we
Dun,
see
dun.
that these promises have been verified to the people of Nephi, for it has been the quarrelings and the contentions. Yeah, their murderings
Yeah.
and their plundering, their idolatry, their whoredoms and their abominations, which were among themselves, which brought upon them the wars and the
Hell yeah.
destructions. And those who were faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord were delivered at all times, whilst thousands of their wicked brethren have been consigned to bondage, or to perish by the sword, or to dwindle in unbelief, and
Yeah.
mingle with the Lamanites. But behold, there never was a happier time among the people of Nephi, since the day of Nephi, than in the days of Moroni. Yeah, even at this time, in the 21st year of the reign of the judges.
Hey, the book
And
can
it came
drink
to
now.
pass.
Oh, we're gonna Okay, so let's pay attention here. We're gonna bust through some time here. Bending,
Mm.
speeding through time.
Like it.
Time travel.
Time
And it
travel.
came to pass that the 22nd year of the reign of the judges also ended in peace. Yeah, and also the
Yay.
23rd year. And it came to
Woo.
pass that in the
Ooh.
commencement of the 24th year of the reign of the judges,
Mhm.
there would also have been peace among the people of Nephi, had it not been for a contention which
meddling
took
kids.
which took place among them concerning the land of Lehi and the land of Morianton, which joined upon the borders of Lehi, both of which were on the borders of by the seashore. For behold, the people who possessed the land of Morianton did claim a part of the land of Lehi. Therefore, there began to be a warm contention between them, insomuch that the people of Morianton took up arms against their brethren, and they were determined by the sword to slay them.
By the
What
way,
could possibly go
Determined
wrong?
by the sword.
Yep,
Swords
the
make
sword did their
decisions
thinking.
now?
Yep.
Okay.
Thinking
Yeah,
swords.
that happens to me too.
and also Morianton. Should also note there was a town near Joseph Smith called Moriah Town, spelled exactly the same way with an H instead of an N.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
Jot that one down. Throw that
Yeah.
in the Book of Mormon.
But behold, the people who possessed the land of Lehi fled to the camp of Moroni, and appealed unto him for assistance. For behold, they were not in the wrong. And it
Wait,
came to
they've
pass-
been at peace for 3.5 years, and Moroni is still in a camp.
These
Like,
people are pretty
be ready.
perpetual about their being at war all the time.
I guess.
These are the war chapters. War
Moroni's like,
chapters.
I know. Keep your swords sharp. The battles aren't done yet, guys.
Yeah. And it came to pass that when the people of Morianton, who were led by a man whose name was Morianton, surprisingly enough, found
Just a coincidence.
found that the people of Lehi had fled to the camp of Moroni, they were exceedingly fearful lest the army of Moroni should come upon them and destroy them. Therefore, Morianton put it into their hearts that they should flee to the land which was northward, which was covered with large bodies of water, and take possession of the land which was northward. And behold, they would have carried this plan into effect, which would have been a cause to have been lamented. But behold, Morianton being a man of much passion, therefore he was angry with one of his maidservants, and he fell upon her and beat her much.
Oh no.
Great. That's nice.
Oh,
Just
We
in
finally
case
get
it wasn't clear, he's the evil dude in this chapter. We have to spell it out.
we finally get a
Peter
lady in the
much?
Book of Mormon. Holy crap.
And it came to pass that she fled and came over to the camp of Moroni, and told Moroni all things concerning the matter, and also concerning their intentions to flee into the land northward. Now behold, the people who were in the land Bountiful, or rather Moroni, feared that they would hearken to the words of Morianton and unite with his people, and thus he would obtain possession of those parts of the land, which would lay a foundation for serious consequences among the people of Nephi. Yeah, which
Yay.
consequences would lead to the
Yep.
overthrow of their liberty. Therefore, Moroni sent an army with their camp to head the people of Morianton to stop their flight into the land northward. And it came to pass that they did not heed them until they had come to the borders of the land Desolation. There they did heed them by the narrow pass which led by the sea into the land northward. Yeah, by the sea
Yay.
on the west and on the east. And it came to pass that the army which was sent by Moroni, which was led by a man whose name was Tiancum.
I was waiting
Yeah.
for you to come up with that.
What?
Yes,
Ian
his
Cum.
name was Teen Cum.
Tea and cum.
Tea and cum. It is pronounced appropriately. Tea and cum.
Not Teen Cum. Okay,
Okay.
because that would
No,
be bad. I
not
guess.
teen
Okay.
cum. Tea and cum. It's not.
That-
It's not a
Okay.
Most people use milk.
it's,
Wait.
it's, I was gonna say, it's not a verb. It's a noun. Or
That's
a
what-
delicacy.
That's what the
Okay.
bishop always asks you about when he takes you into the bishop's office.
At first, when it came to Amalikia, I said this has to be deliberate. Now I'm convinced this was deliberate.
I'm telling you,
What
Joseph
are-
slipped as much shit in here to make it clear he was fucking with people to see what they'd fall for, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
100,000%.
200 years later, we're still here with our fucking stovepipe hat.
It's fucking crazy.
No, we're the smart ones. We're the ones that are deciphering this shit. Like for real. Like finally we're like, can you see it? It's in print right here. Hallelujah. Brothers and sisters,
Gazalem.
siblings.
Yeah.
Gazalem,
And-
that link that you gave me for the video that the family that was doing the study, they were talking about having the power of discernment to discern what is true or not as they evaluated the Book of Mormon, completely convinced that all that really happened.
Go watch
Well-
that. It only has 36 views. Pump up the views.
let's make this
Fuck yeah.
scripture study session viral.
To the moon. Can we talk about the strategy for a second, though? Like, they had an argument with the people in the next city over. The people in the next city went to go get Captain Moroni, big army dude and his whole vast force. And they were like, oh no, we're going to lose this war now. Instead of just calling it off and going back to the city they already had built and just living in peace, they're like, fuck this. We need to escape to frickin' Glacier Park in Montana or some crap. And we'll build a new city there. What the fuck?
I'll continue. So I'll read from the beginning because just to keep on pace. And it came to pass that the army which was sent by Moroni, which was led by a man whose name was Tiancam, did meet the people of Morianton. And so stubborn were the people of Morianton, being inspired by his wickedness and by his flattering words, that a battle commenced between them, in the which Tiancam did slay Morianton and defeat his army, and took them
Whoa.
prisoners.
But were
and
there
returned-
ditches?
and returned to the camp of Moroni. And thus ended the 24th year of the reign of the judges over the people
24
of Nephi.
years. I mean, we
The
were
judges-
really at 19 years. We're flashing through this.
Finally.
Yeah, the judges aren't doing an awful lot of reigning, though, are they? Like, everything that's happening is being decided by battles or city building.
Or
Like,
a
the judges
warlord
are just-
dictator prophet figure. Yes.
Yeah. Like, where the fuck are these judges that are supposed to be reigning? Are they hanging out with Jesus in the not yet here space or something?
Yes.
How did you know, Ember?
Prophecy.
And thus were the people of Morianton brought back, and upon their covenanting to keep the peace, they were restored to the land of Morianton. And a
There we
union took
go.
and a union took place between them and the people of Lehi, and they were also restored to their lands. And it came to pass that in the same year that the people of Nephi had peace restored unto them, that Nephiah, the second chief judge, died,
Whoa.
having filled the judgment seat with perfect
Hey.
uprightness before God.
There we go.
Nevertheless, he had
Cool.
refused
He
Alma-
filled the seat. That's what he did during his entire judgeship. He kept the seat warm. Super job. God is proud.
He had refused Alma to take possession of those records and those things which were esteemed by Alma and his fathers to be most sacred. Therefore, Alma had conferred them upon his son. Hell, man! Behold,
man.
it came to pass that the son of Nephiah was appointed to fill the judgment seat in the stead of his father.
Wow.
No, we're not going to have any freaking descendant hierarchy nepotism. No. But his son was just the right man for the job. That's yes.
It doesn't even tell you what really happened. It's see, the seat wasn't supposed to get filled. It was supposed to flush.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
no.
He was appointed chief judge and governor over the people with an oath and sacred ordinance to judge righteously and to keep the peace and the freedom
Keep
of
the
the
peace.
people. and to grant unto them their sacred privileges to worship the Lord their God. Yeah, to support and
Yay.
maintain the cause of God all his days, and to bring the wicked to justice according to their crime. Now behold, his name was Pahoran.
Oh,
And
Pahoran.
Joseph strained himself
Yeah.
for that one, didn't he?
That's right.
Pahoran.
Pahoran. And Pahoran did. I almost want to say Pahoran because it
Sure.
just
Great.
Pahoran. And Pahoran did fill the seat of his father and did commence
Ooh.
his reign in the end of the 24th year over the people of Nephi.
He filled the
Wow.
seat quite well, for large was his bottom and ample was his judgment.
Your butt is wide, but mine is too. Better watch yourself or I'll sit on you. All right. Minute Rice offers $5 and says, Book of Mormon sucks balls. So I'm gonna pay money to I'm gonna pay money to derail. What's y'all's favorite kaiju movie, if any?
Pacific Rim. I only saw it recently, but it's got tons of kaijus and big honking robots, so that's my pick.
Okay. Then
More than meets the eye.
JLCA. Oh no, I'm sorry. JL offers $5 Californian. It says, don't know movies, but anime Godzilla series, different story. Bad most else. Yeah. G54 was the only one that was the best one. Sorry. I liked a bunch of the other ones, but that was the only one that was almost could have been done right. All right. And then Frankenstein offers $19.99 and says, wouldn't mind knowing opinions on whether the obvious town name invention is something he did consciously as a joke, a confession, or unconsciously. Is this a prophecy that was written after the fact, Bryce?
No, look, he was coming up with a fictional story pulling from what was in his milieu, and he had preacher's notes and a map of the state in which he lived. That's pretty much all he needed for a good number of the proper nouns that we see within here. So
all right, I'm just
and
a little
that's why
confused.
Like, almost all of the names are like little tweakings. Like we have Nephi, and then we have his son Nephi, and then we have a guy with Nephi Ha. And then we have Ammon, and then we have Ammoni, and then we have Ammoniha, and then we have the Ammonihahites, right? So it's not fucking creative.
And some of these tricks go back to the lost 116 pages as well, because when he wrote that entire book, all of a sudden he had a bunch of names in there that he's like has to explain later on. And so if you can have a bunch of names that were already in there, multiple names, it's a way to cover tracks from earlier on and a big cover up from the lost 116 pages if you look into it.
Okay. Skeptical Brain says, if you grow up in Utah, you'll probably run into someone named Kim Kun.
Oh no.
That poor kid.
All right, where are we moving to from here? I'm run out of chat. We've only got 22 minutes left in the hour. What's that?
That's chapter
23. Chapter 23.
There you go.
Do you really want to do 23 now?
It's a long chapter. I'm looking at it.
Yes, let's save that. Let's save that. I don't know if I'm going to be able. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make next week quite on time.
Do you have another Snake Appreciation Day on the weekend?
Every day is Snake Appreciation Day.
I have to be in Houston, so I'm giving a speech on Saturday, and I was staying Saturday night. So it's questionable. I don't know what we're doing the next day. I don't know if I can make it home from Houston in time. So
I will also have to say I'm probably
Yes.
maybe for next time around, because it is General Conference next weekend, and I live tweet through General Conference. So that's probably, I think that conflicts with the time slot we normally have.
All right. So are you saying that October 1st, Bryce, you are not going to be available?
I think that is correct.
Even be there.
Let me look.
Okay. Then we will. If we can't have Bryce, if I'm not certain I can make it, and we definitely can't have Bryce, then we'll just skip next weekend, and then we'll jump to the what is it? The 8th, October 8th.
To be clear, November 5th is the day I for sure won't be here. There might be something between here and there, but November
You expect
5th.
me to remember the 5th of November?
No, and I even said in a
Oh,
text,
no, you better.
I even said in the text I sent you where I was like, hey, just letting you know in advance, I'm going to be doing this thing. It'll actually be at the same time, so I won't be there. And part of that was just to, I'm not asking anyone to cancel the show or anything. I just didn't want you to be offended if you were surprised to find out I was working on a competing project at the same time. So one, I was giving that advance notice, but then I even said, but that's more than a month from now, so maybe I sent this too early. And then you still were like, Jimmy's not going to be here today. And here I was.
You made it. Hallelujah, brother.
And I've been working through the whole thing doing conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you know what?
I
Aaron
could
just
see that.
defenestrated himself, so you know what? It's okay if there's a little scatterbrainedness going on. Like it's
Yeah,
a little sleep
you should see the-
deprivation.
The one down here. The cut
Holy
down here.
crap.
Yeah, it's like I can't show it because the YouTube will block me. But I mean, the funny thing is that I'm in the hospital and I raise my arm and I say, "Yeah, I think I got another maybe a cut here. Can you?" And everybody was horrified because this was the big one. It's a 4-inch gash. It was all the way through. You could see inside the interior of my arm. It's just weird thing was it wasn't bleeding.
You have more stigmata than Jesus Christ.
But the snake was okay.
There
That's
is
the
that.
most important
That's what
thing,
matters.
of course.
All right, thank you everybody, and it looks like we will see you all on October 8th. Looking forward to it.
Bye, everybody.
Hopefully. Thank you, brothers.
Happy Moroni Day.